Inspector Rowley!
Dr. Barlow!
Splendid to see you, my friend.
Likewise. I say, you seem to have a dead body in your parlor, Doctor.
Is that so?
I'm afraid it is.
Troubling.
Indeed.
Well, what is there to do about this?
Determine who killed the fellow, I suppose.
And what makes you think this fellow was killed as opposed to having just died?
A number of things, really, such as the location, the posture, and the distressing look of that monstrous man.
Hadley, my boy. No cause for alarm, Inspector. Hadley's my loyal groundskeeper.
Groundskeeper, you say?
Indeed.
Perhaps he should be put in the ground then, you know, to better keep it.
Who is this man that clutters the floor of my parlor, Inspector?
Yet to be determined, I'm afraid.
How did you come about learning of this man? A happenstance during a friendly visit to my home?
A very concerned Widow Winslow came into my office this morning and provided myself and my partner, Inspector Glenback, with a report of a blood-curdling scream she claims she heard coming from your property during her morning stroll. Crazed rantings from a grief-stricken woman, I supposed, but it seems her report may have been credible, to say the least. Tell me, Hadley, what is it that a fine young man such as yourself may have been up to earlier this morning?
No, nothing, sir. Nothing at all.
Nothing at all? Nothing for a groundskeeper to tend to on a sunny morning? And what of the garden that I am sure thirsts for water in such heat?
What of it, sir?
He's not much for keeping the gardens, or the lawn, or the grounds.
Then what does he do, Doctor?
No, nothing, sir. Nothing at all.
Doing nothing all morning seems on par with his usual course. After all, watering the garden is what we have the gardener for.
Oh, Mr.
Mr. Livingstone, sir.
Livingstone. Tell me, what might a fine young working professional such as yourself have been up to earlier this morning, Livingstone?
Taking my usual care of the garden, sir. Haven't left the grounds much this morning, but I can assure you I haven't heard a peep, let alone no blood-curdling scream out here. Now, I haven't been inside much, but I can tell you that the yard has been quiet.
Are you suggesting then that the scream came from inside the house, Livingstone?
Well, I can tell you that it didn't come from outside, and unless you know of a side other than in or out, well, that only leaves one side where it might have come from now.
Preposterous!
As it may be, Doctor. But it does leave one to wonder what you yourself may have been up to this very morning, if only to clear your good name.
Right then, my research had taken up the entirety of my morning as it does most days lately.
Research on what subject, Doctor?
Creating a monster. Medicine. Researching on creating medicine.
I don't believe we've met, my good man. Inspector Rowley of the police service.
Good day, Inspector. Hawthorne Addington, second-generation butler of the Barlow house.
Have you two not met already?
No, Doctor, I was unaware you had a butler, as I was led to let myself in earlier.
Curious.
Very curious. Tell me, what were you doing earlier this morning that you neglected one of your chief responsibilities of attending the door for guests?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yes. Tell me, Hadley, what do you suggest I do in such a terribly complicated situation?
Oh, pardon me, sir, for talking out of line here, but I cannot believe what I'm hearing. Half of these men haven't told you a single bit of truth. Are you really gonna buy any of this?
Hey, I got shots!
I don't know what kind of research he says he's been doing, but I haven't seen him in that library in months.
A keen observation from someone who works outside. In fact, I've made quite a few observations myself. Would you like to hear them? Dr. Barlow, you seem hardly vested in this case whatsoever, despite the fact that there's been a dead body lying on the floor of your parlor for quite some time now. And neither of you have given me any information whatsoever to account for your whereabouts this morning, and it doesn't even seem to worry you. I respect that. However, Mr. Livingstone, you seem to be very interested in this case, so much so that it seems you know more than I do.
How do you figure?
When I stated earlier that the widow Winslow came into my office this morning with a report of a blood-curdling scream on the property on which you work, it was only myself, the good Dr. Barlow, and Hadley in the room. However, when you entered, you assured me right off the bat that you did not hear any blood-curdling scream, I believe you called it, outside on the property this morning. But how could you have known there was a scream at all if you weren't here when I explained it? Mr. Stafford, please explain.
It's quite simple, really. The inspector came to my office this morning asking me to pull any records of the widow Winslow's account. What I found were freshly prepared documents merging bank accounts belonging to Miss Winslow and one Hastings Livingstone, effective immediately. While Livingstone's account isn't much to brag about now, it almost was.
You see, Doctor, the widow Winslow conspired with Livingstone to frame you for a murder good enough and sour your reputation with the public well enough that you would be sent away for such a long time that nobody would care what happened with your estate so long as it didn't belong to you anymore. Your estate would be presumably split between your loyal staff, with a full third of it going to Livingstone, which I assume he would then split with the widow Winslow, and, of course, be back to claim his cut of the other two.
Thank you, Inspector, for preserving my freedom and my reputation. But who is this man?
I don't know.